Mutual of Omaha is a proud sponsor of San Diego's historic places, celebrating 100 years of service. Mutual of Omaha knows the importance of financial planning for the future.
Thank you to the San Diego Historical Society. For more information, contact the San Diego Historical Society at sandiegohistory.org. Hello and welcome to San Diego's Historic Places, where I visit and discover historic buildings throughout the county. I'm Elsa Sevilla, your host. In the next half hour, you'll get a glimpse of 4 historic hotels in downtown San Diego. You'll see the very first hotel built in the city. The U.S. Grant is as majestic as when it first opened. The St. James at the time boasted the fastest twin elevators in town, and the building was considered to be fireproof. The Golden West was nearly torn down. I'll introduce you to the family who saved it from demolition. In the next 30 minutes, you'll learn the history of these wonderful hotels. That's next on San Diego's Historic Places. The Palms is considered the very first hotel built in San Diego in the outskirts of downtown on Park Boulevard in 1869. At the time, it was known as the Bayview Hotel. The original building would undergo a major transformation. A large addition would be added 20 years after it was first built. Today, it is used as an SRO, a single-room occupancy hotel.
This is the oldest existing hotel in San Diego County. What you see on the outside is an 1889 hotel, but within it is the 1869 hotel. It was one of the first of the first-class hotels downtown. There were 3, each of them trying to vie to be the center of the new town.
Walk into the Palms and it appears to be as it was 140 years ago. Bruce Coons is Soho's executive director, Save Our Heritage organization. He's in the business of saving old buildings, and he also knows San Diego's history well. And all this is what it looked like?
In 1889, yes. The original fireplace is here with its original stenciling and marbleizing over cast iron and slate. You have the redwood wainscoting. We have the original desk with what they call tiger stripe redwood and the stairway.
Many of the hotel's original features are still present. In the day, the Palms owners boasted about being the very first local hotel. It has survived for nearly a century and a half.
The 1869 hotel was a much smaller hotel, and in 1889 they jacked it up, put it on the second floor, and put a dining room underneath it.
Bruce shows me around the hotel and offers details few San Diegans know about the Palms. Bruce, this is the old part of the building, the hotel?
Yes, this is the entrance to the 1869 hotel. You can still see the original side lights and the door frames and everything. And that would have been the front entrance that's now on the second floor. It was down on the street originally.
After the addition to the hotel, the Palms would be transformed into the best Victorian hotel in San Diego, second only to the Hotel del Coronado.
Over here you can see the outside of the 1869 hotel with its original windows and siding that goes down this way. They left it uncovered inside of the 1889 hotel. Then there would have been 6/6 window sash in these window openings at the time, which you can still see when you look out this window and see the rest of the hotel that extends out the back of the 1889 hotel.
With a row of wooden buildings and empty lots, these old black and white photos of Bruce's collection show a different time in San Diego. The Palms is barely visible in the very distance. You have a map here which indicates where the hotel was.
Yeah, this is what they called a bird's eye view, and This is a reproduction of. This shows the San Diego in 1876 during the centennial of the country, and shows you the original Bayview Hotel and how it was on the outskirts of town. And we talked about before, there was 3 different areas that were trying to be the center of town. The original New San Diego development, Horton's addition to Newtown here, and the area around the Bayview.
Because of personal interest and his job of preserving historic buildings, Bruce is an avid collector of ephemera, old pictures, postcards, receipts, and brochures.
Well, first we have the longer views in the 1870s. Again, you can see it's here on the edge, and there's nothing out behind it. Where Sherman Heights, except for one house, Matthew Sherman's little house in Sherman Heights. In the foreground, you have McDonald's, which at that time was a company that sold mining supplies to the miners in Julian.
There have been many changes to the hotel through the years. Photos show the hotel's exterior details, with the 2 towers on the building's southwest side, which have since been removed.
This is where one of those big mansard roof towers were, and this was the access was up through here, and there was a widow's walk on top where you could see all of the bay and Point Loma and out to sea.
Outside, the hotel has a number of shops on the ground floor. The trolley line runs through the front of the hotel. There are still many original features, including the long windows known to Victorian buildings.
On this side of the hotel, you can see the original porch and the brickwork, which was unpainted when the building was originally built. You can see the bay windows, and there's still a lot of original glass.
Through Soho, Bruce is passionate about saving and preserving old buildings for the future. Just about everyone knows about the U.S. Grant. It was built by the son of a U.S. president. I'll show you some of the best preserved rooms in the entire hotel. Welcome to the historic U.S. Grant Hotel between 3rd and 4th on Broadway in San Diego's Gaslamp Quarter, named after U.S. President Ulysses S. Grant, and built by the president's son, Ulysses S. Grant, Jr. Construction on the hotel began in 1905, but there would be many delays before the Grant would open for business. It was all because of the San Francisco earthquake of 1906 and the shortage of lumber.
It opened up in 1910. And right here where we're standing, there used to be a building here called the Horton House, built by Alonzo Horton in 1870. And then Ulysses S. Grant Jr. came out here around 1893, and he purchased the Horton House in 1895. He later tore it down to build the Grant to honor his father.
Before the Grant, there was the famous Horton House, built on the same location in 1870 by Alonzo Horton, the father of San Diego. The opening of the Grant was marked as a grand occasion. Everyone of who's who in San Diego was there.
It was a big celebration here because this was considered the premier hotel in all of San Diego. We opened up with 436 guest rooms. 350 of the rooms had running water and electricity. No other hotel had that in San Diego. So it was kind of considered the state of the art.
The hotel is on the National Registry of Historic Places. Through the years, the Grant has undergone a number of renovations.
The lobby was very different. You had a low-pile green carpet, and you had green and white square clay tiles between the low-pile green carpet, creating like a squares. The columns were basically covered with wood. What's original are the beams and the crown molding. The other thing that's original to this hotel is also the main entranceway on Broadway.
Heading downstairs to the basement, a portrait of President Grant decorates the wall, and a safe belonging to Grant Jr. is still in the hotel. This is the area that's been exceptionally preserved as if it were still 1910. When you walk into this little area, you can't help but notice this beautiful tile. What's this called, and is it part of the hotel? Has it been preserved all these years?
Yes, and it's actually kind of a Turkish influence, because right through the doors to my left were the Turkish baths. and they lined the entire hall. And so that's why you have this here. This was the entryway to the Turkish baths.
And then the ceiling is also just beautiful.
Oh, yes. And it used to be covered with 24-karat gold leaf. It is original to this area here.
The Turkish baths are gone, but if these walls could talk, the tales they could reveal of the many gatherings and parties at the Grant. Very narrow and like it's been untouched.
Yes, this room is called the Chairman's Court. And it basically opened up in the 1920s. It was called the Gentleman's Smoking Room.
So for gentlemen?
For gentlemen only, yes.
What kind of people would come here?
Yes, well, Grant Jr. and his business associates, lawyers, doctors, politicians, you name it, just about everyone.
The Grant recently underwent a multi-million-dollar, 21-month-long renovation when the Sequam Band of Kumeyaay Nation purchased it in 2003. The hotel reopened in 2006. Acquiring the U.S. Grant meant a great deal for its new owners and Sequam tribal chairman Danny Tucker.
Well, if we're going to do it, let's do it right. And so we did the remodel. It cost us quite a bit, but you know what? It's more than just an investment for us. It's a part coming back home for our tribe that this is where we were, and now we come full circle to be, you know, in the heart of San Diego, 4th and Broadway.
It was President Grant who signed a presidential order to place Native Americans on reservations, including Sequam. Tucker remembers the stories about the hotel's construction.
They built it as probably the most modern hotel in the country, if not the world. I mean, I know they had the heating plant was down by the bay, and they did all underground, steam underground, and heated this whole building. And some of those holes that were here then are still here now, the little tunnels underneath the hotel that went all the way to the bay. It was pretty interesting how they heated this place.
While still in the basement area, I've saved the best for last. A ballroom, which was also known as the secret meeting room for women of high society during the 1920s. No detail was spared.
This is the Crystal Ballroom, and it opened up in 1927 because some socialites in San Diego wanted their own private and personal ballroom, so this one came about.
And what's been preserved? I mean, there's so much in this area of the basement that it has been preserved.
Yes, the original travertine or terrazzo flooring, all original. The columns and the crown molding. The crown molding, it's hand-carved wood.
There's so much detail to it.
Very much so. And back in 1927, the columns and the crown molding, they were covered with 24-karat gold leaf.
Down the hall, there's the Celestial Ballroom with its beautiful blue walls.
This is actually the original dining room for the hotel. It opened up in 1950, and it was called the Bouvier Grill. Famous people like Wyatt Earp, Al Capone, Benny Goodman, Artie Shaw, the Three Stooges, Bob Hope, Glenn Miller. They used to come here and dine and perform at the Bouvier Grill.
Preserving the past hasn't always been easy, but the folks at the Grant have done their very best.
The ceiling is original. The old vaudeville stage where they used to put on shows before the silent movie era, that's original. The woodwork replicated. 7 cabinet makers came in here and they looked at photographs between 1910 and 1920, and they reproduced the woodwork that was around the concrete columns. It took them 9 months to do. It's cherry wood stained.
What began as a real estate investment for Ulysses S. Grant Jr. and a hotel he could name after his father, a U.S. president, has remained a 5-star luxury hotel that will continue to be preserved for future